about now. Well, welcome. This is Retro Talk Forum on your YouTube channels. I am your guy, Black Ass African. You can find me on both platforms, IG and YouTube, under Black underscore AZZ underscore African. And I'm gonna pass it off to my guy, my co-host, the co-host with the most.
Good evening. Good evening. Hope everybody has had a blessed and highly favored week last week, and hopefully you'll have one this week. We got the holiday coming up. My name is Hot Dog 18. You can find me on IG. Give me a follow. Also follow my brother Black Ass African on IG. I'm one half of Retro Talk Forum. We got a good show for you tonight. We got a special guest, and we got a professor in the house. Class is about to be in session. So grab your pad and your pens, grab your pencil and your pad, and get ready to take notes, because you probably gonna hear some stuff that you've never heard before.
Facts. So today is December 22nd, 2019. And what in hip hop history happened today, Mr. Hot Dog 18?
Well, today we had in 1998, 21 years ago, we had DMX released his second album, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. Had the song Slip and Fall and Can't Get Up. That was a pretty good one for him. And also, happy born day to Mr. Luther Campbell, aka Luke Skywalker, aka Mr. Dude Brown. So today is his birthday. If you're from the South, you remember that Miami bass sound, and it's
bro,
as nasty as they want to be.
I still want me one of those chains, bro. I still want me one of those chains, them fat gold chains. I still want one.
Man, like Caddy said, you get with them one of them, you're gonna have to pay an arm and leg and a piece of butt cheek to get one of them. Man, gold and went up so high now. So yeah.
Facts. But hey, it's not like an everyday wear type deal. It's just, just to get one, just to, what I'm saying, just to feel B-boyish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to feel B-boy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. But did you have a top five in that, or did you want to just move on?
We can wait till we bring our special guest on. Get his opinion on.
Okay.
Get his take on his top five.
Our special guest is a cat that all I can say is a lot of people call me time machine, time traveler, all this and that. But this guy right here, he is the truth. Like Samuel L. Jackson said on Juice, do the right thing. He is the truth, Ruth. But without further ado, man, let's just bring my guy in, man. The professor, we'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on, man?
Good evening.
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for being a part of our platform, man. Thank you.
You know what's so odd in life? That it's sneaker professor, but in life, I'm a real professor. But sometimes people don't separate the two. They just think, well, he's a sneaker professor. But 16 years, I'm actually an educational professor. So that's kind of
okay, man.
What do you teach? What are you a professor
I have a doctorate in curriculum development. So I'm teaching English as a second language students because I'm working on curriculums. I create how students learn. So that's kind of
right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I believe they are the future. Let them lead the way. But we was talking about hip hop history, and he was talking about DMX album came out, also Luther Campbell, aka Uncle Luke. His birthday was today too.
Okay.
And we was discussing like what would be your top five hip hop wise.
All right, and I'm an older guy, so mine is going to be reflective of that. But I think if you're talking hip hop, I got to start with Rakim at the top, the God MC.
The God MC.
When Rakim, he just changed everybody's cadence. I mean, when he came in, everybody brought the mathematics. I mean, I just thought Rakim is like second to none. So top. My second one, Coogee Rap. I think Coogee Rap, I mean, he gets kind of pigeonholed for the mafiosa style rap, but if you heard his earlier work, Juice Crew, All Stars, and some other things, Coogee Rap, he can rap. Sounds like 3 people in the booth. It's just Coogee Rap. So I would say Coogee Rap's my second. I think my third, I would say KRS. You know, KRS is a little long in the tooth. It's kind of like Michael Jackson. Once Michael Jackson did Thriller, he was still good, but he was no longer Thriller great. And KRS, he still puts out good material, but he's been around so long, it's hard to compete against your younger self. But I think if you look at timeline, how young he was and how lyrical he was, it was really no blueprint. KRS was nice. I would say 4, I would put Nas, just because I kind of like some of that mafioso style and some of that. I mean, I think, you know, the 90s era, Nas kind of spoke for that. Prodigy as well, rest in peace to Prodigy. And I think last, not the most lyrical, but I think the most powerful for me is Chuck D. You know, Chuck D kind of changed my life in the way I was thinking. A lot of my going into education and bettering myself was a lot with the lyrics of Public Enemy.
Right. I think Chuck D, his voice was just one of those things that he just commanded the attention of everybody in the room.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's how I looked at him. My favorite album was It Takes a Nation of Millions to Stop Us. That was my favorite one.
Classic, you know,
that was my favorite one.
And just no compromise. When you think of that, man, you think of Chuck D, it's just never a compromise. He was still that strong voice, and they were getting major radio play, even though he was going really against the system and establishment. So that was unusual.
Right.
You know, and I got to hear them in London one year, and it was incredible, man. So Chuck D to the top for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's dope. That's a dope top 5, man.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Hot? Right quick.
Well, you know, I'm kind of biased to the South myself, but for my top 5 real quick would be 3 Stacks, Andre 3000. Nas is in my top 5. This is no particular order. Nas is in my top 5. Probably Scarface. I kind of like Scarface's storytelling. One person that I think people kind of slip on. He's an old school cat, but I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know if I would necessarily put him in my top 5, but one of my favorite albums is The Great Adventures of Slick Rick. Just that storytelling on that album itself, man. It's just almost every song is a story on that album.
True.
Like we was talking about backstage, I would probably have to put 8 Ball and MJG as one. You know what I mean? Because they just like, I don't know, man. That they was just some country boys that could rap. A lot of people didn't think, like, until 3 Stacks said the South got something to say. I mean, we had some people that could rap before then.
Right.
And probably the rounding out my top 5. I can't really think of anybody right now. I can't really. A lot of people gonna say, "How come you don't have Biggie, Tupac, or Jay-Z in them?" But they just, I mean, they was decent, but they just not in my top 5. So I guess I have to leave that one open to move on. What you got, Black?
Me, I mean, I'm kind of like all over. 1 would be Andre. 2 would be, well, 1 is Rakim. I'm kind of like not doing like a top 5, but it's just like 5 of them. But Rakim was 1. Andre was 2. I had Buckshot Shorty from
Boot Camp.
Yeah, Boot Camp. Right. I also had Q. I thought just him being on that side and he's still bringing it lyrically. I just thought he was dope. And I had Big Daddy Kane before he started turning into sexual chocolate.
Before the slacks, before he started doing the slacks and the puffy shirts. Gotcha.
Right. So, Hop, you got any? You want to start the interview processing out with Mr. Khallivegas?
Well, once again, man, we appreciate you rocking with us.
Hey.
You know, if you don't know who Khallivegas is, check him out on IG, man. He's on a whole nother lane. He's in a whole nother lane when it comes to, you know, sneaker history, his collecting. Just everything that you post on there, man, is something different. It's like a breath of fresh air to me. And not only do you post like the kicks, but you also have the matching outfits to go with it. So I one thing I noticed from you is that you're not average collector or connoisseur. I'm not gonna call you a sneakerhead. I'm gonna call you a connoisseur or a collector, because
Not a collector.
Not a collector.
I just have a long rotation that I don't. I mean, the shoes I have, they're wearable. When I get them, it's for the purpose of wearing most. I mean, some crumble after time, but collector, I always kind of cringe a little because I'm more a hoarder. Like I have stuff.
Okay.
Even not even sneakers. I have Atari systems, Sega Genesis, all from the. I'm a hoarder.
Okay. Well, one thing that I really wanted to ask you is that what started out, like what shoe started you out when it came to when it came to hoarding what you have? What shoe started that out for you, and what made you veer away from the norm? If what you normally see on Instagram,
pretty much.
Yeah,
I think that's what
ignited that spark? What got that spark going in you?
I got you. I think more, in tennis shoe. As a youth, I wanted to play tennis, so more tennis lines. Back then, early 80s, diversity was everywhere. There were so many brands, but I think what kind of got me started, that you had to be unique. So it wasn't particularly one brand, but you had to get something that nobody else on the block was rocking. And so that brought on the sneaker hunts, where you would try to go out of your distribution area, try to find a shoe, come back. I would think probably the Euro brands excited me the most. Diadora, Sergio Tacchini, LS, which I call for 40 years, LS. Those brands probably got me sparked and started. But I think probably the one, maybe the Borg Elite, Diadora, because I was always a Beyond Borg fan. I had the kangaroo leather. I think that's 84 when that dropped. So that one, what's crazy, although my accent's going to sound a little New York, Boston, the South, DC. I'm a DC cat. I was born in New York, but most of my formidable years in life was spent in DC, Southeast Washington, DC. And so I just looked a couple weeks ago. There was a mall. I lived in Southeast Washington, DC. There was a mall called Landover Mall. It was in Maryland, but it was close proximity. And, I never thought, most times when I look back, I said, I would walk to that mall. It's about 3 miles with no real concept or frame of reference. So I said, let me Google my old house and see how far that was, how I walked, because I walked out there. I had just enough with tax to get the Borg Elites. I couldn't get on the bus. I was young, maybe 14. It was 14.5 miles one way. I walked 30 miles for those sneakers, and there wasn't even sidewalks and highways in some of that parts. It was just literally walking through on a busy corridor on a road because I wanted those sneakers. But that's how bad we got on the hunt for things. It was 14.5 miles. I was blown away because in my mind, in my memory, I thought, this is 3 miles. This is nothing. Man, given today, I'm not walking 3 miles. I'll Uber, let alone 14.5. So probably that. Yeah, and then I think the change probably came about, oddly enough, with the Michael Jordans. I don't want to lose any of your subscribers with that, but when those first came out, I had the first 4 pair, but I was such a Knicks fan, I wouldn't even wear them. Like, I was such a Knicks homer, and Jordan destroyed the Knicks, even when he came back out of retirement, that I literally wouldn't wear them. And I can remember my friend from DC, George, he was like, I'm going to go get 2 pair, get you 2 pair. The first one's the colorway. We were more in the starter jackets and things like that. And so I didn't really fall for the colorway, but the 2s are probably my favorite. Now I have wore the retro 2s, but even when I wear it, maybe it's half a day, I always feel kind of funny. I don't know why.
It's your conscious.
Why answer the question for my man? Somebody asking me. I don't know.
Also, what kind of pony you got in the box? I was gonna say also shout out to the chat, man. If you got a question, man, shoot it in the chat. We'll try to get to it. I'm pretty sure he won't mind.
And these are David Thompson. So this is back when they used to give you decals and you put the number on the shoe. And 33, that's David Thompson. So,
hold it up a little bit. There you go. There you go.
Give you the numbers and you would attach them to the shoe. Like most cats would put a number 6, even though Dr. J didn't rock with Pony. I kept it David Thompson. I love David Thompson. And David Thompson loved cocaine, so his career ended. That's
All right. All right.
Cocaine is a drug.
All righty then.
That's how that ended up. All right.
So you could pretty much customize that shoe off the rip.
You could, and that was one of the things because
that was a team shoe. You could put whatever your number was if you was rocking it. Yeah, okay.
Right. It came in different decal colors, like they had red, they had gold, they had blue, so different numbers. You could, and a lot of cats did it. You know, they came with a couple colorways too.
Yeah.
So, you know, and maybe that was the kind of, I don't know, contracts and how that worked. I don't know the total background of that, but maybe they were trying to keep him for some of that money by saying these are customizable and not your signature.
Yeah.
He wore them, but it's really not his name on the box. So I don't know. That might have been the reason why, you know?
That's one thing that I miss that they don't do nowadays is put the extras in the box. They don't.
Yeah,
they don't do that anymore.
No, man. And then when they do put it in the box, it's like when they do put it in the box, they want to charge you extra. You know what I'm saying?
They do. Yeah, that was. I mean, from a poster to a lot of different things, you can get it.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah, that what you were saying. Was you go ahead and continue with what you were saying before you answer the question?
I was just saying, for me, like I have a ton of shoes, and so I always think of it as hoarding because now, I mean, sneakers are now a commodity, so I get where they're traded. Growing up, I had baseball cards, football cards, and I tried to, you know, I would trade those, but sneakers we always wore, and you always wanted to be unique. If you were first, even if you broke them for a little while, so you would kind of get them and you would send cats on a hunt. Like if you came back first with them, I remember when they had the John McEnroe, the John McEnroe trainers, and I got them because they were just putting them out. They were supposed to be a Friday sale because back then you didn't know distribution. Like you didn't know when the internet wasn't at our fingertips. I didn't know what was coming out. You just went to the store. So sometimes the shoe you wanted may have not been the shoe you were going to get. Your eyes may have been swayed once you got there, but they were putting out the Nike and they were going to do it Friday. And I convinced them to sell me that one. And I went back and was the first to have it. And as soon as like my man got it, maybe a week later, I was like, nah, I'm not going to wear them now. You got the same colorway. Sometimes you could get a different colorway, but back then I think we all had a kind of strive to be in terms of footwear because it really was an expression of you, right?
Yeah, that's that mentality that was back in the day. You wanted to be the first with it, you know, and once somebody else got it, you'd be like, oh man, I can't even wear it no more. You know, let me put these back in the box. Let me put these back in the box. So
that's how it is now. When people, you know, get early pairs, they want to be the first to show it. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty much the same.
They take the picture and show it to the world, but I don't, you know, do they wear it? I don't know. If there were 3 shoes that I could have retro, what would they be? That's difficult for me, man. I always have I have a funny feeling about retroing things. I'm like the old guy on the lawn, the old sneaker guy, get off my lawn. And the reason why, I'll tell you real quick, because I think sometimes it's brands versus license holders. And a lot of them are just lazy in terms of material and what they put back in them. If I could have 3 in a perfect world Cadillac, I would say the Borg Elites with the kangaroo leather and the signature. That'd be a hard one, but I'd love to have that back. Maybe the Avia had an aqua shoe, 1445. Avia had a tight aqua shoe style. That was 1445. That would be one I would love. And then lastly, what would I like? Maybe just pure nostalgia. Maybe the Delta Force. The Delta Force. I knew I would get a reaction, but the true Delta Force, like low cut though, I think that's the hardest ones to find. There's a cat.
Which year?
I think 86, 87. 86, 87. I know the ones you're thinking of. Are you thinking of
those are
right?
the low top those?
Yeah, I think there's a cat, bar none, out of I think he's a Brooklyn or Bronx cat, but he has some. But I know the other. You're thinking these, right?
Man, why you had to show me that shoe, man? Why you had to show me that shoe?
So these I like, but if in a low cut, and I think that's the thing a lot of the companies miss now because, you know, at 53, I'm not breaking anybody's ankles but my own. So give me low cut. That's why I like, if I could show you, we talked about this backstage. Like this one, right. retro. I really think this is the closest. If I'm talking about a shoe going back to OG, this is a little different in terms of the width of the mid. This is a fantastic shoe, man. I got these at $40. There was a discount. I brought 7 of these different colorways. That rivalry, that's a tight shoe. And you can tell, I can tell here, like even when you look at it, I know with these companies or brands, you can tell when they work with somebody who knows, even if they don't officially did it. Like this is clear to me. There's a guy, Ernie Pump, I think maybe from Germany.
Yeah, I know.
I can tell they work with him because they got it right, you know. In my opinion,
they even him a 1 of 1, which I thought that
was
dope.
That's right. Yeah, but you can tell he had some input in that because, you know, look at that shoe.
But see, the thing about that is, if you don't have no input or the actual OG shoe there to go off of, you can't really go off pictures just to measure stuff.
Nah, you're absolutely right with that. You're absolutely
when you're trying to get a shape right.
So the Elite trainers, the Elite tankers, I think they're the spring next year. We got to create a friends and family pair like that they gifted us. I think they're going to give it to us in January. That one, I got my man Soul on Canvas. He's an artist, so I got him to do a rendition because the way they did that workshop, we went over to London, LS. And so they allowed us, they had materials, everything out. It was pretty nice. And they let us create a shoe. But I asked the guy, the CEO, Simon, if I could draw up a concept, if I can get a concept shoe, would he make it with the materials and everything? And he said, yeah, sure. So I contacted my man, Will. And so he created, this shoe, suede, we called it the DC tanker. It's amazing to me. So I can't wait for that one. And with hopes that LS will see it and maybe, look to try to do that shoe. But I have the original tanker, and now that it's mentioned, and I think this one is fascinating because I was sharing with the guys, this is 1982. And while the world speaks a lot of, tinker, and I understand
hold that shoe up for a minute. Just hold that shoe up for a minute.
While the world speaks a lot about, tinker, rightfully so, Mark Sadler, who designed this shoe, is pretty amazing. When you think of the year, and Mark Sadler, he was an industrial engineer. He was a designer. He had a ski accident. And once he, was recovering, he designed a boot for the skis. And Lotto picked up that design. So he wasn't a sneaker designer by trade. Then they got him to create, a sneaker. He was working with Lotto. Then he came over to LS and he built, he did 3. He did this model. He did the Mochix. The Mochix was one he did. Mm-hmm. But I just think from a design perspective, when you're thinking 82, 83, man, this cat was absolutely incredible. And then he kind of just walked away. He kind of just went away and went back to, he did furniture. He was winning awards as a furniture designer. But Sadler probably should get mentioned a lot more in terms of designers. I'm amazed he's not mentioned, enough. That design in 82, nothing out there was like that. This was the first shoe because, again, we were tennis fans. That brought us into sneakers. Right. And this was multi-court because back then you played on public courts. We didn't have money. We wasn't posh. So we played on public courts. And so this shoe kind of, gave us the ability to play on multi-surfaces. It was a fantastic shoe and one that, to this day I love. And that's 82. And that's the one thing when I was talking with you cats backstage. We were talking about that sometime that era of when the Euro shoes were brought in, ushered in, is kind of missed. People go straight to 1988, with rap and that explosion. And of course, it was more visual. You could see, but a lot of those designs and styles were already here. They didn't sell for 4 years. A lot of us were wearing them, already. We had already kind of moved over because youth tennis and we wanted to be tennis players. I used to watch that. Because there wasn't 24/7 in sports, right? So you watch Wide World Sports or you watch
Right. Yeah.
And when you see the tennis matches, I would see them cats come out in warm-ups. Borg, Ash, Noah, and 82, 83, Pat Cash. And I'd be like, man, I need that whole thing. That's why oftentimes you see me, I have all the apparel because that's that
OG drip. That's what the kids call the drip right now. That's the OG drip.
Yeah, And so a lot of us kind of gravitated to that style and that became our style. And we kind of wore it from head to toe, and that's when you start getting your own money. That was important too, because prior to that, moms brought you stuff. My mom, and stuff. And back then, even though gas was probably a nickel, rent was probably $100.
Yeah.
The toughest negotiator to get over $32. If the shoe was $29.99 and it was taxed, you ain't getting it. You're not getting it. And I was like, and I remember I wanted these Nike Cortez, right? This is maybe 79. And so this is before plugs were official. And my cousin Arthur was the manager at Kenny's and Sears. So he was plugless. Believe me, you didn't want shoes out of there. So I wanted these Nike Cortez, right? And I asked her to get them. And she was like, all right, I'm going to pick them up after work. That's already the first red flag. If I can't go with you, you don't know what Nikes look like. I was like, yeah, chances are it's 50-50 now that I'm going to get this pair, right? And so she goes and back then there were no cell phones or anything, but she gives message from my little bro. I'm down the street, like, you know, she was home. She had the shoes. And I was like, oh, you got the Nikes? And when I was coming up on the part, I remember she was like, no, I got something better. Let me tell you something. Never in the history of anything has a mom. When a mom says I got something better, it's less. It's less.
Facts.
It's just like modern day now. We know, fellas, when your girls say, you know what I think is funny? It's not funny. When she says that, you're in a world of trouble. And so when a mom would say that back to you, then I got something better, it's worse. And so you know what she had? Tom McCann jocks. It was Kenny and Sears. And I have some pairs, not that one in particular, but a lot of people may not know in 74, 75, 76, Kenny's had the NBA official license. So they were the ones who got to make that shoe.
Ooh.
The NBA, this is 74. It's still wearable. Cats used to wear, there's a cat online, James Blackston, I think. He has all the pictures. You'll find a picture of him, Blackman maybe. But this shoe,
that's a blue suede jock, right?
It's blue, yeah. It's a jock, but it's a basketball shoe. Cats was wearing it. And so then they had others. Let me tell you. There you go. That's John Havlicek, all right? A runner. Look at the 4 stripes. They'd have the chevron, but look, it's 4 tough. And if it's one team in my history that ruined sneakers for me, it's the Boston Celtics. One team that I wasn't going to wear, it's the Boston Celtics. They ruined just about every pair of likable shoes, right? Like these, I was like, nah, I don't want to wear these, you know, because I had some Bob Cousy's too. Like back then, sports was regional, but so was the distribution of shoes. So even though I was in Washington, D.C., a lot of Bullets, they didn't really have signature shoes. I think they were all wearing Pro Kids then, but like Bob Cousy, Havlicek, those guys were first to kind of get signature shoes, and they were going to be distributed in your area. We were still very close to Boston, so we got those. Another pair, this is 76 too, Ken Rosewall, and I used to love these. Turn cream over time. You can't really tell there, but again, when you look at the year and you think of the build, this is 1976, so that's pretty incredible to me. The shoe could be built and be that solid. That's really
that looks like a tennis shoe right there, though. It's not like a basketball shoe. That's like
no. This was for tennis. Yeah, he was a grand champion. This was tennis.
Okay.
No, and I love tennis, but I didn't like the fact, there were Foot Lockers, Snyder, Herman's. Our plug was at Kenny's and Sears, and I knew that was going to be hard. His discount was harmful to me. I was like, man, go to a new store. But when my mom used to tell me, and I can remember clearly, like I got something better. It's 79. What's better than Nike? Nothing. I said nothing could be better. But she got me jocks, Tom McCann, and she got the socks too. And that scarred me. I started buying shoes. I said, when I get my own money,
you gotta get your own bread.
I'm buying own shoes. So in '84, I started making my own money. I brought 105 pair of sneakers that year. I brought everything that you could possibly think of.
Wow. So is it safe to say that tennis was a sport that really influenced you to?
It was the sport. For me, it was tennis because, I like basketball too. And a lot of the shoes then, basketball was still a big man's game. So a lot of the shoes were geared towards that. And again, a lot of things were regional. Like my pops was Washington Bullets. I didn't really roll with the Bullets like that. I like Dr. J. I like David Thompson. But that fanship wasn't going to get you sneakers. My dad wasn't going for that. He wasn't going for that.
You ain't roll with Bernard King? You ain't roll with Bernard King?
Bernard King, yeah. But my dad was like, that was it. Washington. I was going to get Washington Redskins starter jackets. I was going to get Washington bullet stuff, and I'm like, when they were the Bullets before the name changed.
Yeah.
They were Bullets, but on sale Haze. I mean, that was what I was really gonna get. But I said, when I get my own money, I'm getting all the shoes in the world, and so it kind of turned out. But tennis indeed was my sport, and I love tennis. And matter of fact, I'll show you really where the Euro invasion kind of came in. These are like the first Fila runners, 1984, right? So this is 84. And these were probably the first pair I doubled up on because Fila, again, I think one of the things, and you and I, well, we all talked about that, is that what a lot of brands miss now, the target marketplace wasn't streets. So when I hear brands now say for the streets, no, that wasn't a target marketplace. There were nobody in those meetings saying, hey, what day they in them want? Get day in them some Fila. Like, it wasn't a day in. It's not a day there. Like, what are you talking about? That there was no streets for this style. We came to these styles in large part because it wasn't made for us.
Right.
Then price point, because you wanted to be different, the price point came in. Now, if you spent, these were $69.99, I think, but the T1s, they were called originals then, but the T1s were the first to come in at 100, a little over 100, 105 maybe you could get them. And so everybody started gravitating towards those, and then to have the entire apparel now was important because that shows who was official.
Yeah.
Like if some cats had the shoes, you might have had a counterfeit shirt. If you could get the whole outfit. And what I can't understand then is now I'm in Atlanta now. And so, maybe my body reacts differently. How I could wear full velour sweatsuits zipped up to the top in 90-degree weather and still be cool. Where now, if I go out in a t-shirt and boxers in 75-degree weather, I'm too hot. I'm sweating. So I don't understand how back then my body was adapting to that. Maybe it was the coolest fact that I don't have that same level of coolness, but really Fila ushered in the first wave in the 80s, and then the other brands like LS soon followed, and Sergio, which I used to pronounce this wrong too, Sergio Tacchini is the name, not Tacchini. Sergio Tacchini, and Sergio Tacchini had, some of my favorite players. Like they had Pat Cash, they had McEnroe, they had a lot of detail. The thing I like about these shoes more than anything, just the detail. Like time was taken. In the leather, you can kind of see. Yeah. Even now when I look at postings and people, I don't actually hold the shoe in hand, but when I look and see some shoes, it doesn't even look like leather, and people are excited, or they say that's premium leather. Leather from where? Like most of these shoes are made in Taiwan, Korea. They weren't made in Italy. They're Italian companies, but the shoes weren't manufactured in Italy. So, that was a huge thing too. I think with the Jordan 2s, right? It was Italian leather.
Right. It said Italian.
Right, and I know Foot Locker used to run promos where they had Fila, they had Lotto, but they were like premium Italian leather because that was now the big grab. We were going to get a premium Italian leather, even though
Italian leather.
Yeah, like you said, that's what they was gravitating toward because they feel like if it's an Italian brand, we want to bring it over here and we want to turn it from Italian to streetwear.
Right, and then I lived in Italy. Like I lived 6 years in Italy, and from 88 to 94, I didn't see any Italian factory making tennis shoes, but Italian, all right, but I didn't see any of those make those. I think it was just more you were kind of caught up in that, and so people wanted that, and now pricing started to change a little. But the first wave was really tennis, and that was really 81, maybe say 83, 84. Then the second wave came in, and that's where you get the street cats, 86, 87, 88, they start making real money, and that's where they start blowing out. I'll tell you what, if you're from DC, I'll tell you how the first wave of Fila hit the streets. Those sweatsuits, high-end sweatsuits. There was a tennis place, I'll leave names omitted, called Racket and Job. It was in Georgetown. Georgetown was kind of the area for shopping, more of the high-end shopping. And so they didn't chain them up. Like tennis shops were prevalent then. Mom and pop shops, tennis shops. You had your franchise stores, the Snyders, the Hermans, and then you had tennis shops, and then you had runner shops. And those were important. Those were prominent in the 80s too, because a lot of times you kind of could find footwear there that you weren't going to find carried anywhere else. Like the runner shops, I started getting into high-end runners that I'll talk about. But there, in the ragged and jock. Like the next day I came out, so where I lived, it was, kind of hood. It was hood. It wasn't kind of hood, but it was, I seen cats fully decked out. And I'm like, damn, he don't really have juice like that. Not using the term juice because that wasn't the word we were using, but I'm just saying it would be a cat normally you would see fully outfitted. They hit the whole ragging and job and took everything off the racks. That's why when you start going in after that, they changed everything up. Sweatsuits, they didn't chain them up. These cats took everything.
Right.
Oh yeah, which says my man, I'm responding. You know what I think, and I'm just giving an opinion as these are all my opinions. Again, I'm not officially capacity with that. I think with Fila, they're money grabs. They can get the money from like their distributor, that goofy shoe distributor is their huge seller. Globally, that's the money. And so when they put things in those off-brand stores and stuff, they do it because that's a money grab. I don't think they'll go back to the days of luxury because again, they're run by usually Korean or Asian, so maybe they don't really have an understanding of that. Now, Sergio Tacchini, who I get to work with, who I like those guys, they have a young line coming out next year. That one is really painstakingly, it's going to be something beautiful. Trust me on that, the way they went back and kind of did that. But I think with Fila, I just think their money comes from like that distributor, that big chunky goofy shoe.
Right.
That's the money. So they like, why would we do anything else? If that brings us money, they're not really looking for that target market. Or I think some brands swing and miss because a lot of brands, and I get to talk to brands, which is it's kind of funny in some ways and a little bit strange because most time their history is unbeknownst to them. And then I understand they're license holders. Maybe they broke the license, but this isn't the people who have the history with the company.
Yeah, they're not the originators.
Right, and so sometimes they're limited, but sometimes you can do a Google search. I mean, my God, some information is out there. To be so naive in some situations, just it kind of amazes me. But again, I think with those companies, that market that they would look for when they say, "Oh, we're going to go back to this," that market's older. It's not sexy 19 to 35-year-olds, and there's no problem with that. But I try to tell companies, and I've talked to companies before, like let's say in the case of somebody was talking Boris Becker. Boris Becker, I love the Boris Becker, right? Boris Becker, I love the shoes, especially when he was with Puma and especially when he was with Diodora. But I said, if you bring that out now, kids don't know, they don't care about Boris Becker, Boris Karloff, who was Dracula, Boris and Natasha on Bullwinkle, Boris they don't care about any of that. So you're going to be playing deadpan to a market that does not care. But I said, if you did limited and you put quality in, you're going to see older guys gravitate back and they're going to spend money because they have money to spend, right?
Right.
What's up? What's my thoughts on Bobito? Bobito can really do no wrong for me. And in terms of sneakers, when that cat, man, is royalty to me, Bobito. So I would say he's royalty. That Atomic might be a long way. I would say Bobito thing is, he's royalty. I like the pro kids. I like a lot of what he touches. I think he's culture. I think now culture gets blurred with consumerism. So there's a mix of what's culture, like cats will holler for the culture. Okay, give me $100. Oh, I brought all these shoes. I'm going to resell them. It's for the culture. It's kind of like there was an episode, like I like Family Guy, right? So I watched an episode of Family Guy. You probably remember the one where Lois was going to run for mayor, right? She was going to run for mayor against Adam West, the character Adam West. So she was losing. And up there on the platform, her man came in to handle the campaign. He said, hey, say 9/11. And she said, why would I say 9/11? She started just saying that at the drop of a pen, 9/11. And the whole crowd got behind her. I almost think it's kind of prevalent to what happens now when people say, oh, for the culture. The Kaepernick shoes are for the culture. How?
Yeah.
What's that for? What? Why? And it's a capitalist society, so I don't mind if something is for consumerism, but why do you keep hollering something's for the culture? How does it impact the culture? I don't understand.
I think they think that that's the thing to say. That way you get behind them.
Right.
And that's not the actual thing to say because just because you say that doesn't mean that you mean it.
Right. And so Yeah, so she's right with the quad, because I'll show you with the guy who talked about Atonics, and to her point, when you look at these are OGs. Look at that suede. I don't see anything when I reach out to cats online and say, is that suede? Oh yeah, that doesn't look, it looks Fox. It looks artificial. This is suede. This is plush. This was a general release. This wasn't you have to hit a lottery. When this came out, this was $49.99. You didn't have to hit the lottery to get the shoe or get a limited shoe or get a chance to win. This is $49.99. This is suede though. So even if you didn't rock with Atonics, and a lot of people didn't, because Atonics made good runners, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I think where they got lost in their own stuff is when Akeem, and Akeem was a monster. Let me say something. Every company wanted Akeem. Akeem signed with the brand, stories out there, you know the story, because he wanted to be the anti to kids getting killed over Jordans. Akeem signed with Atonics because he wanted the price point to be $35 or less. That's what he wanted. He could have signed with anybody.
Exactly.
Beast. So what happens now, and that's why I say narration is important, because we're in a stage now where before, we would be in places, people would try to get the OG models, try to create the shoe without any narration. So now narration becomes currency. But oftentimes people don't have a frame of reference. So you think of that Atonic, you can't bring it back as gangster. It's $35. Cats remember it was in Kmart. So you try your best to bring it back. Cats remember that. But bring back the runners with quality, not the Fox level. Bring back the runners with quality, suede. You may have a shot at something. But when you
actually brought those back though. They actually brought those back. Finish Line had them. Maybe 2-3 years ago.
They kept my OG model. They got my OG years ago. They didn't bring me back my model. I wanted the OG model. They gave me a new pair of shoes. Yeah. I wanted the
so they kept your shoe?
Right. That's a long story, water under the bridge. I mean, it's corrected. They had different partnerships now. And then it got taken over by the right cats. And let me say that with the cat, and he's doing Lotto now, doing a couple things, Willie Esco.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. Let me say, because I talk to a lot of different people or CEOs in a sense, and I'm not dropping to be arrogant, but most times I'm left kind of doing more talking than listening. He's probably one of the rare cats who had the story so down. It was really nothing for me to say. Him and another Clark Kent, and you guys know Clark. Clark. Well, what's funny with Clark, and I don't talk to him a lot, but I get to talk to him. I like Clark. I've had a question about a remix, a music question, about a Kid and Play remix he did. I've had this question for 4 years. When Clark gets to going, we talk about sneakers, and Clark can take you back. He's going to take you back to the first sneaker. That first model they brought out. Like one time on Pro Kids, he took me so far back, I was like, okay, we ended the call on Pro Kids. I wanted to ask him something.
You said you won. He won.
Yeah. But I mean, he took me back to a way I was like, oh yeah, that one. So I appreciate the fact, and I love the fact he's a cat, who when you talk to, I mean, he takes you back. And there are a couple others, because before this whole IG thing, sneaker forums were the thing. Sneaker forums, Quincy. I think there are a couple companies who next year may have a good shot at that. LS may be one with the quality tennis sneakers and apparel. I think Sergio Tacchini has a great chance, I know, because the line they're working on now is a quality one. But I think, again, it just comes down to, they try to hype everything now. Like Wilson, it's not street. Here you go. Wilson was your mom brought these, and you were going to learn how to play tennis, pro staff.
I remember those.
Yeah, so this is the 3/4 cut. Your mom brought them, and you were going to learn how to play tennis, all right? This wasn't street. This wasn't hood. And now what happens with these companies, they link up with cats and say, oh, let's do a collaboration, and this cat's an influencer. But influencers have already been influenced. They've already gotten their style from somewhere other than themselves. I always think of, we talked about rap earlier, and I'm a huge fan of rap. When I think of Jizza, when he said, who's your A&R? A rock star plays, somebody who plays a guitar or something, where he made fun of that. A rock climber who plays electric guitar.
Yeah.
I think that's what happens a lot of times. These cats, and that's why I said narration becomes important, because you have guys who come in. IG was the gift and the curse, because before IG, in large part, you had sneaker forums, right? So you're going to be part of sneaker forum, sneaker crews. And for me, I started with Crooked Tongue. So Crooked Tongue group, that was mostly Europeans who love trainers, and I love trainers. And with Crooked Tongue, rest in peace, Gary. Those guys where you would display your shoes. That they had this thing called crate feature. I had 2 of them, which was kind of probably unusual for Americans. But I had so many trainers. I love trainers. But there, you kind of had to know your stuff. You just weren't going to get in and start babbling or talking about something, and cats were going to challenge you. So that was Crooked Tongues. And from there, the Shoe Game, the TSG Forum. Those guys, if they're sneaker families, this is my sneaker family, right? So these guys, G-Rock, shout out. But they had to show me. I'm going to tell you something that's funny about this story. He had something called Show Me Your Sneaker Collection, right? Shoegame.com. And now I had only been affiliated with Crooked Tongue. This was years ago. So I didn't know a lot of this existed in terms when you say culture, or a lot of these things existed to me. So one night, it's late, I have an online class. I'm uploading old sneakers, right? And so a guy hits me. He said, "Where do you live?" I said, "I live in Atlanta." He said, "Okay, can I come by tomorrow and film you?" I said, "Film what?" He was like, "I'm going to film your sneaker collection." I was thinking, okay, that's bizarre. So I said, all right. We changed numbers, information. I called my man and I said, look, these kids got a new way to try to rob you. This dude told everybody he going to come film sneakers. So I got something for him. So I keep sneakers in the garage at this time. The first one we did was in the garage. And so in the box, one of the sneaker boxes, I had a 357. I had a snub nose. And I said, all right, not that I'm looking to kill him, but I said, I'm going to wake him up when he come through and try this thing. Because to me, again, it's still a world that I don't know a whole lot about. I'm older. I'm 53. So here I'm a little older than him. And so he comes in and I hear a knock. I said, oh, come through the garage. And I'm going to grab that box. And when I open up the garage and look, he got the camera and everything. I'm like, oh. So I put that box to the side, hoping not to open it for my little sneaker collection thing. And I told him years later, like he didn't know now, Z-Rock, I told him years later. And so that was just hilarious to me. I didn't know this world. I said, why would you film this? And he said, oh, because, people are interested. And then, I got on and saw others. And that's always been my fascination. Even now, I probably spend a good 4 hours looking at sneakers or commenting on sneakers. Most people, if you follow me, you've heard from me. If you have something, I probably came in and referenced something on your page. So I just thought that was so funny because there was a world that I didn't really know. And so you have that sneaker form. And then the other, there's obsessive sneaker disorder, those cats. And if you don't know them, that's Sean and D Wells. And I'm not officially part of them, but like Master Ace and the Juice Crew, I still rock with them. And those cats probably enlightened me to more about industry. Like at that time, I had no idea, but they were a little deeper than just these are sneakers. I mean, actually, he's a ranking scholar at Drexel. So this cat actually gets to teach university courses. So does my man in Norfolk, Soul Food Brand, which he's got Barbito coming out to speak with. I don't know if he already spoke, but I'd love to hear that. But I think I'm going to do a thing for him next year. So I didn't know this whole culture, OSD, there it is, was around. And so now I'm like, oh, I get it now. So that's why narration is important, because these guys can't get in these forums and kind of milk, your information, your stuff like they did before. Now they have to have stories to tell. And that becomes, capital. Can you tell a story? So.
Okay. Question. What is it that you have coming up that you wanted to discuss with the people in our chat? And shout out to the chat. It's 15 in the chat. We appreciate you for pulling up. But what is it that you got coming up that you wish to share with the people?
Well, what I need to do is finish a book I've been writing. But for me, if people know me, I compile because research is the greatest tool for me. I use it in life. So I've been working on 2 years on this project to try to tell a authentic author race. A story narration on what's happening, and that's what's coming up. And again, I had done a couple things with Sergio Tacchini that should happen next year. But other than that, like sneakers take up a lot of my space, 80% of my space. It probably takes up less of life in terms of that. Like I think in large part, I'm kind of a professor of education, and that's kind of the field that I kind of stay in. Let me show you a couple more before I know you have to get on. But this one, when you talk, this is the Tiger Asus Discovery. And this is 1984. So this is like one before the runners came in. Everybody, from crew where I was, this is the one you wanted to have. And when I was talking to somebody's question about quality, even when you look back then, this is a Duratec.
I love that shoe.
Yeah, so then look at kind of, what they put in, like the extras, because again, the goal was performance. And with Duratec, even the small details, like to the sole, Duratec, even with a shoe like this, one thing, and that's why, before it was performance and aesthetics. 6 months is what they gave you on the sole. You could bring this shoe back in 5 months, 29 days, 5 months, 30 days, and they would refund. You would get a new shoe. So
they're doing that nowadays.
No. Similar used to do something like that too, and cats used to kill it. But even when you look at this runner, high tech, this is the Badwater 146, and this is air bowls. They actually go in the center of the shoe. But I mean, just the technology. And so that's what probably surprises me the most. How come you can't recreate shoes? Like, how come, what happened to the leather? And when people say, oh, it's Italian leather, the cows in Italy, why can't you recreate with technology? What makes something Italian leather? I've never understood that in my life. Even when you look at the lesser Nike, everybody does, but Air Angelo. Even when you look at this, they gave you extra heels.
Yeah, the arch supports. They don't put the arch supports in there no more.
Yeah, this is suede. This is no question suede. So I'm always curious to now when people say, oh, well, that's suede, that's premium, and you pay these hella prices. I'm always curious, is that suede? Here, this is a shoe that Boston ruined for me. Danny is in the company. I haven't wore this ever because I hate Boston. I absolutely hate Boston. I hope nobody's a Boston fan.
Nobody was a Boston fan in the 80s and early 90s, man.
But even when you look, that one's come back, but this has been around a long time. Ralph Sampson. And again, and when they brought this back, I just laughed because even when you try to bring it back with the clout of 1,000 people, this was regional. Sports was regional. Nobody was rocking Ralph Sampson like that. I know you can look around, and I think that's the gift and the curse. A picture's worth 1,000 words. So some of these people are going to be like, oh, well, he got a lot of likes. Let's bring this shoe back. Or let's get this picture. You don't really have the context to what was happening. And everything wasn't cool back then. For me, British Knights, and I speak in my experience, he wasn't really wearing them. He wasn't Kool Moe Dee or somebody might have been, but you come through with British Knights or troops, we was going to roast you. You was going to just get absolutely roasted. And I don't care which style you had, we were going to light you a fire. Because really, Max wasn't rocking that. You would have wanted to go home and change shoes.
Yeah. What region was this then when y'all was roasting people?
We was going to give you the business because it wasn't something, that in large part we were doing. Even Lottos, if you had the runners, but a lot of times if you were doing some of the others, they were we saw it as maybe cheerleader or gimmicky. Just that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that they had the Lottos where you could change they had the Velcro on them, right? Where you could change.
I got those. The logos.
Yes.
This one, the lighting you can't really, but this one was probably the New Balance the cats set off. The 590. I know the James Worthies are talked about more, but DC, these cats, because it was all white, it was an easy match. So a lot of cats kind of came with that.
Let me ask you something real quick. All these shoes that you pulling out, man, they look almost brand new. I'm talking about you just went to the store and bought them last week or just recently. So how do you keep your shoes like that? And what percentage of those are still wearable?
I would probably say, for me, it's a lot of work, man. I'm gonna tell you, for people who know me, probably is the anal retentiveness of it takes. Sometimes I'll take a day, especially when it's warm, because a lot of times for a lot of the shoes, these are yellowing now, but the soles can be cleared up with this is a product that can help the rubber that oxidizes. But I think a lot of these stay the distance because I try to wear them. Some I can't wear but once a year because of sheer volume. But the condition and take care, man, I have 3 days out the year that I take 8 hours, like a job. I'm off that day. But 8 hours I start and try to get them because the volume is so large. But
so you pretty much know how to deoxidize a shoe, because I've heard like I got one of my a restorer down here. He deoxidized a pair of my shoes, but he used some kind of hair care product to put on.
But I guess what I haven't found out is how it doesn't hold forever. That's the thing.
Yeah,
no, it doesn't. Once it starts oxidizing,
right,
you can clear it up, but it'll come right back.
Right, it'll come back. So
kind of like a foggy headlight.
Yeah.
Right.
Then some shoes, just over time, you're not going to be able to wear. Like any air bubbles, Scottie Pippen, some OG.
Yeah, of course. When it gets foggy, it's a wrap.
Yeah, I'm not going to put those on. But most is just because. Again, that's why I kind of cringe at collection. I wear them. It's a long rotation, but I don't collect sneakers. I just try to wear them all if I could. And I wear quite a bit of them, but I think over time that's probably helped that they do get worn. Who's Celtics is a squad? Papa Rivera. Okay, since the 80s. Yeah, all right. I mean, the Celtics were good. They ruined shoes for me. Like I got the New Balance 480s. That was their first basketball shoe. And I'm like, all right, it's a white and blue with that blue trim and everything, and I'm ready. I'm like, I'm gonna display these, I'm gonna wear these. And then I was looking at the finals, whatever the year, ML Carr. And ML Carr had them on, and Cedric Maxwell, they were on the bench. They had to show the picture of the bench, them bench riding cats. And he had, I said, yo, I'm never wearing these. I don't have that kind of dedication. It takes a lot to keep them like that. And sometimes
it does.
Yeah. Well, I don't have family or kids, so that's the only way an old guy is going to have that type of time. I don't have cats or pets, so it's kind of the sneakers. And my goal is to wear them because you can retro or reboot any shoe you like, but it's not the OG, and that's not to knock. Some get close. I kind of look at it like this. Like I have an aunt, right? My aunt Rosetta. So she grew up on Motown. Motown was her thing, right?
Right.
Motown was her thing. She always played it. She loved it. So one year, a couple of years back, I said, wow. I said, you know what? They had a Motown review coming. Now, rap was my thing. I knew of Motown because when your mom put it on, you had to clean the house. That's just
yeah.
So I knew of it, but I didn't know it really to the level she knew. She's an OG for that sound, right? So I take her to the concert, and I'm enjoying myself. She appears to be enjoying herself. She doesn't hate it. So after I asked her, I said, how'd you like it? She said, oh, it was good. I said, but it wasn't great? She said, no, because this person, all these people were missing. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't experience that the first time around. So what happens a lot of times, just like, if I can pull this back, I know what suede feels like. So when you reboot it and it's false or artificial, I'm not as happy. I don't hate it, but I certainly don't love it. So even when you look, and I'm not taking shots at anybody, and I hope that's not a shot, I know what airships look like. I have a pair. So when you say that, I see cats.
Can you break them out?
And I have them in my storage thing now.
Oh, okay.
See, a lot I just got what I have here. And so near. Because at the end of the year, I try to put up a lot of things that I bring back. And I didn't, like I said, it's the first podcast I've done. But I said, let me go and get some things out that I have here. But I say that to say, when I ask cats, or if you even a little critical, the first thing people came back, oh, well, that's for the culture. How? Here we go again. How's that for the culture? Well, he's doing it for the culture. What is being done for the culture? That's why I think now the biggest thing is the culture is now kind of consumerism. Like even cats, when they say I'm the king of this, you're the king of consumerism because you brought a bunch. So what are you the king of? If you don't have an affiliation or you're not with the company, what are you the king of in a sense? And so I'm always kind of baffled by that when, we question out, people see it as, oh, them old cats hate. No, it's just we remember quality. But if I ask the culture, just explain to me. Like this, I agreed to do this because I follow you guys. Right. And it's for the culture in the sense that that's what you guys talk about. You talk about a love for sneakers I have. I watch when you do the contest, who has the heat. But I've watched and I get to follow you and I interact. So I know what's culture and I know what's capitalism, consumerism. And I'm fine with both. We live in a country where you're supposed to be able to do both. Just don't package me on the bullshit.
I think one thing that I've seen most of the time when people say it's for the culture, 9 times out of 10 it's for themselves. It's not really about the culture. I mean, you say it's for the culture, but
Right.
I just really think that term right there is when you say, "Yeah, I'm doing this for the culture." No, you're pretty much doing it for yourself.
It's a touchy phrase. Put it like that. It's a very touchy phrase.
Yeah, and I would be fine with that. My thing, I'd be fine with that. That's just because Ralph Lauren has never really said he's doing anything for the culture. He made polo. You pay and you get it. There was a culture built around it, and that's cool. But he never has to come. He never came out and tried to fake you on that. Like, hey, it's for the culture. Like, nah, buy this. Nike now, even with the Kaepernick thing, come on, man, don't slide this for the culture to me. You don't have to.
Yeah.
None of your Jordans is for the culture. So if you want to do flu game, if you want to make a pair of Marcus Jordan 6-man edition, do it. Talk about the Beta Wilson, John Wooden. I love the John Woodens. I love the Betas early on, but the John Woodens, I love the retro to that. You know, it wasn't, again, the John Wooden shoe, and when you take time in the 70s, that wasn't a great shoe to begin with. So the retro I liked. It wasn't too far off because the shoe wasn't a real heavy design shoe to begin with. But Betas were cool, and a lot of people had a play on that. But back then, a lot of your taste was distribution, right? So even if you like something, it doesn't mean it was going to be in your locale or your market. That's why I always caution when people say, oh, well, we started this. Well, how do you know? There was no IG around. How do you know who started what? So even though, you know, I got felines in 84, that doesn't mean the cat in California didn't get them in 84. The dude in Denver, Alabama, Ohio, they might have got them too. There was no real validation where people could say, oh, I got this, look at me. Now there's pretty much a lot of validation through IG. You can kind of say, oh, this is first. This will do that. And so now it's just a little different in terms of that. But back then, I just think it's kind of hard to say where things started. I think for me, sometime I would see, you know, we get to travel, do a vacation. I would see different shoes, like the 84. Take the 84 Gucci tennis shoe. I have one, but I don't have it around. I didn't see that. I was on a trip to Atlantic City, and I saw cats from Philly. And I asked him, I said, yo, and he was like, the Gucci shop was up there. So he was like, oh, they have them there. One of the fascinating things about that, look how Jay, and I give Jay, that was a pure finesse move with Reebok when he brought out the Sean Carter, the S-Dots. Probably the reason I never wear my Gucci's again, because I was in the mall, one of them shoe cleaning dudes, he was like, yo, I see you got them S-Dots. I was done. I was mortified. You know, because part of me said, listen, man.
Boss man, let me clean shoes, boss.
But part of me said, you're a doctor of education. You're 50 years old, man. Let it slide. But then part of me said, nah, man, light his ass up. You know these ain't no S-Dots. Go light his ass up and show him. But I just was mortified. Did he even thought that? Then I thought there's probably 4 other young people like, oh, he got them S-Dots. I never put back on those.
They're probably thinking the same thing, man.
Right.
Oh man.
Right. So I just was like, yeah, I'm not gonna wear those anymore. But I just think when Jay-Z finessed that, man, that was Reebok's highest seller at the time.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. He took something that was there and just brought it back. And then what did Gucci do? Cease and desist. Stop making that. He's coming back. Because a lot of people may not remember, based on age-wise, the Gucci shop in a lot of cities used to bring you in 2 blacks at a time, 2 young blacks. They discontinued that shoe, whether they go official or not, because they didn't like our culture. Young blacks were spending money on that. They didn't like the shop. That wasn't for you. And that's the same thing with the Euro designs and how that took off. It wasn't for you. So when I see things come back and people say, oh, it's for the streets. What streets? Data and them? What streets? There are no streets now. My god kids are 16. They grew up on Fortnite, PlayStation. There are no streets to speak about. You can't make anything for something that's not there. For the culture, they're trying to fit in. They're doing something for everyone community. Actually doing it just to get personal recognition and fame. That's a good point too. It's not classic. Is if you kept it, you'll go. I have the S-Dots. They're in my garage at the bottom. I've kept them, and I feel some way about them. I'm not going to absolutely. So if that doesn't make me the GOAT, I'll be Scottie Pippen. But Lord knows I'm not putting on those S-Dots. And I'm not sure. Somebody brought them for me. And maybe they brought it as a joke. And and design wise, they may not be a bad shoe. It's just some things like Jordans. I just can never put those on, and that's no knock. Michael Jordan to me is the greatest I've seen play in my time. So it's no knock to him, but I just I just get a funny feeling. I'm just such a Knicks fan, and now the Knicks, I can wear slippers because they suck.
They suck like a mug, and that's my squad.
Yeah, they suck. So you could wear slippers and represent the Knicks. You don't need it.
So since we're talking about the Knicks. Pat Ewing.
You
ever had a Pat Ewing?
You couldn't tell by that.
You know what I had, and it was funny. I was living in Europe at the time, and so distro over there was a lot of trainers. I was in love because ZX 800s, Adidas. I mean, them shops over there had a lot of stuff that catered to me. Like the Jordans hadn't quite broke over there. Like maybe 89 cats were bringing them back from America, and they were getting kind of used to them. But Italians, they may have had different basketball, like Sergio Tacchini's, the Dino Guini, those type of shoes, but they didn't really have, there wasn't a huge market for the Jordans. So the Patrick Ewings, I didn't know back then. You had to wait for VHS tapes. Your family would send you. So I was watching maybe Rap City or whatever the rap show was. You on TV Raps maybe, and there was the Gangstar video queued up just to get a rep. And when Little Dap, when he threw down the 40 and the bottle bust, I had to rewind and I said, "What do you got on? What's them shoes?" And I hit somebody back home. They say, "Oh, you ain't got a pair of shoes." I say, "Send me them, the 33 highs. Send me those." And I got those. And then and I love those. I wore the hell out of them Ewings. I wore those to death, and that's still my favorite Ewing. Except now Ewing has done a collaboration with everyone. Everyone. With maybe the exception of us three. Ewing has collaborated with everyone. I don't even get and again, that's to my point. When I asked him, I said, "Look, I like Pimp C. I like UGK. I like Big Bun. But I said, what's that collaboration about? Oh, it's for the culture. Is it for the culture? What business is it? I didn't get that. Like, I've never even heard in a Pimp C reference where you say, I got some Ewings on. Never. And so then they collaborated, EPMD, Mega. That's just like, what are we doing? What the hell are we doing right now? We're just going to make a shoe with everyone.
They making up stories.
And even Ewing Athletics, who I think, that's a power move for Pat. When that first came out, make no mistake about it, he was the first to have ownership.
Exactly.
Jordan was getting cake. They didn't have the ownership. So for Pat, that's a power move. I don't want to discount that. But I think even back then, they pushed so many models. They had like 50 models.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, right. The Ewing, Mikey, like, all of them confused me. The Drink Champs, it's just like, it's 50,000. And I've asked them, and they've got a little irritated because they just tell me, oh, that's for the culture. Which culture?
Yeah. Did they just have a collab with Death Row? They just had a collab with Death Row or something like that.
Okay, Throwback King did say that when they had that they couldn't use no license that had Tupac or Machiavelli or All Eyes on Me. So they came out with his actual group, which was the Outlaws. And he showed me a picture where Tupac actually had a black and white pair of Ewings on. So I was like, okay, I get it then. At least he had a pair on.
Okay, yeah. Then I can respect and understand that. But sometimes I think you can literally water down your product. There was a product that was already kind of, it was kind of teetering on watering anyway. Ewings weren't largely collected because them shits felt like Frankenstein, like the early ones. If you tried to boil them, that was Frankenstein in terms of that. So I didn't understand like a lot of the collabs, but the Pimp C one really perplexed me. And I asked,
that one was kind of like confused the hell out of me. I didn't understand that one at all. Like
maybe he had a pocket full of stones on when he was wearing. Maybe he had a pocket full of stones when he was wearing. I
even if I heard it in a reference, I'd be like, okay, I got it. Because sometimes in rap, hip hop, somebody's like, I think Raekwon with the Dear Door, I get where you go back with that because he references that. AZ references a lot of that style. Nas, I get that. I just didn't get like the two chains. Yeah, I don't kind of like, I don't get where that came in. And it's like, then the quality is like,
it's the part, bro. I mean, like if you really want to say somebody actually wore Ewings or said something about it, You forgot about crisscross. I seen somebody actually do a custom crisscross.
That's right.
Yeah, crisscross did. Yeah. He scuffed them up on. He scuffed up his white Ewans.
Yeah, I forgot that.
I was finna say Cube.
It's Boston ruined these for me too. Boston fan, Rivera, damn Robert Parrish, the 870s, 850s, they ruined that. So that was to my post. That alluded to my post where years back, Ronnie Fig was, he was getting everybody's thing. Everybody sent him Avias. And the Avia, I don't know why they didn't do that deal with him. Because that name was so, his name would have carried him. What was so funny, I put the email thing up and talking with him. And this is how it was just outside the coach. I didn't know who he was. And I asked him, I said, when he reached out to me, right, about the Avias. And I said, look, I don't trade shoes. I wear them. And he said, well, I'll send you 2 of mine. And I said, respectfully, who are you? And he said, well, just go eBay, put my name in. I said, okay, put his name in. I said, okay, where do I send this trade? Where do I send these Avias to you? Because Lord knows the money's jumping for his and these samples. I said, where do I send the trade to exactly? So I ended up sending, and I asked him again, and he was pretty cool. Let me say that. I know cats may feel some kind of way about him. I haven't talked with him since then. I don't feel any kind of way about him because he was really cool in that. Because I asked him at that time, I said, listen, I don't know you to be a ball player, so why is the price so driven up? Why do they want your stuff? He said it's hype over quality. I said, back true, it's 2012. I said, well, I don't really understand that. He said, maybe one day you will. And he left it at that, and I left it at that, and I thought, damn, that was profit.
He spoke that into existence.
Right, he knew. But I literally asked the cat, man, I have the email still where I said, look, I said, I don't understand that. He said, maybe one day you will.
What 2 shoes did you trade him? What shoes did you trade him?
I gave him the 860s. I gave the LV 1500s, you see, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
The 870s, the 880s, and a couple more pairs. A lot of cats gave him Avias, so not that. And a funny story with Avia that was interesting to me, because again, in sneaker forums, I used to be in the tennis forums and the sneaker forums, TSG, Crooked Tongues, etc. But I was in tennis forums, like with old white guys who love tennis, and just talking about the tennis and some of the styles. And I got to talking with a guy who had Avia. I thought, and I'm still under the impression either he was the owner or he was high in command, because the cat showed me pictures, man. He showed me like these. He started giving me like them sample pairs. Fig wanted. I didn't give him the aqua shoe and some of the others. The dude gave them to me. He was like, "You want to pay shipping?" Yeah, sure. He gave me so many pairs, and he was showing me pictures. Paris is mad underrated. Paris is in the Hall of Fame, ain't he?
I think he is.
Yeah, I don't think Parrish is underrated myself.
No, he's not underrated. He just messed up Avias for me. So the guy would show. He showed me a room where they had Hawks NBA Avias, like some Boston Jones, just custom Avias I've never seen in life. And so I started talking to him about the deal. And he kind of was like, he didn't really know if that would work with Ronnie Fig. And I don't have the inside to this. And so, please, I'm not putting that out there like I was an insider. But I asked him, I said, because he was affiliated with Avia, although he would never tell me. He said, I'm just a guy who knows. You seem to know a lot. But he was like, seemed kind of like he didn't want that deal to transpire. And I was thinking, man, that was your time, because that's the one thing about narration in history. If you had Avias back in the 80s, you didn't have them because you like Pittman. Pittman won for 1 year. Cats didn't really know Pittman like that because your sports were regional. You knew Mike. Maybe you didn't know Pittman as yet. But Avias, you brought some stuff you brought or your parents brought because it was economically sound to buy. Don't go back like that was the hit. Avia was not the licks from my experience. In fact, Avias, you kind of got crazy looks. The runners were solid. The technology was still solid. Avia actually won a lawsuit against Nike for some of the technology, the sole technology. So that was solid. But I always laugh when cats try to bring that back. Like, oh, I had those. Yeah, your mom brought them. Because you probably didn't buy no Avias.
It wasn't by choice.
Right. So I brought those and held on as more nostalgia. I rocked one pair, the 815s, I think I rocked some, and some of the runners, because I thought the runners were exceptional. But I always like when you kind of hark back and people say, "Oh, I had them," and then you find out they're 30. Okay, you were 6 or 7. Who brought them? You weren't really. It wasn't your frame of reference, and that's okay. We talked about that too. I think frame of reference are important when people are saying, "Oh, the 80s." Well, if you were 7 or 8, you really can't really validate the 80s. Even 10 in the 70s. I was born in '66, so I was 14. So near the end of the '70s. I started coming in cognizant about sneakers and stuff like that, like maybe 77, 78 when I'm 12, 13, but I still wasn't making my own purchases. So I don't go and claim, oh, 70s was my time. I was at the really mercy of what my mom was going to do. And my mom was really, really frugal. When I look back and think, we were in a Grand Wagoneer station wagon. Gas was maybe a nickel. And we lived in not the best neighborhood. Like, where's the money? $32? I'm still harping on that. She couldn't buy me the nights for $32. She was like, "Nah, that's crazy." Your cousin?
Yeah, I was kind of like the same way. The only way you were able to get your, I'm from the country. I'm from the South. So if you wanted your own money to get shoes, you probably had to walk around with a lawnmower, pushing a lawnmower, and say, "Hey, you need me to cut your grass?" You know what I mean, and stuff like that. So, and then back then you wasn't making all that money to cut grass, so I might have to go put mine on layaway because I was the same way. Your mom's buying your pair and she ain't getting what you want. You know what I'm saying? So
what was your first pair? Both of you. Let me ask you something. The first pair, kind of the question you posed to me, but what was the pair that got you going, that you brought, that got you going? Because you guys have
that I bought on my own.
Right.
The first pair that I actually bought on my own. See, back then, I would say when I wanted the Jordans, the first shoe that I fell in love with was the fire red 3s.
Okay.
That's what. Now I always liked shoes, but when I really got up on Jordans, because I think the first pair of shoes, not that I bought for myself, but really got me into shoes. I wanted a pair of Nikes, and we had this place called Myers. It was like a little locally owned shop in the mall, and they had a pair of Nike
runners.
On
the camera, you just got me. I'm not seeing anything. It's all you.
That's the DJ. That's Black.
Like I'm gonna sign language. What you saying?
Yeah. So for me,
gas wasn't a nickel. I was clowning.
Yeah. Back then, probably when I got these, gas was probably Black. He didn't hit it again. Gas was probably like 99, 89 cents a gallon back then.
Okay.
So we had this little, like, not really a mom and pop store, but they sold like a combination of tennis shoes and dress shoes.
Okay.
So my first pair that I can remember myself, I think I was in middle school, and it was almost not really like they had the waffle bottom, but it was some Nikes, and they had the Nike Air on the back. That Nike Air on the back was just intriguing to me.
Right.
So for me, and so I was in the Nike and Jordans, but the first pair of Jordans that I bought with my own money was I had got the white fire red 4s. I fell in love with the 3s, the white and fire red 3s, because it was a guy at my church, he had them. And I always liked Jordan as a fan. So my first pair that I actually bought, and like I said, I had to save up the money. I went and put them on layaway, and then I cut some more grass.
Let me ask, because again, Jordan is probably the brand I know least about. Not in the bad way. I just don't know. So when you say those colorways, that's the OG. That's the first.
Yes, the OG. My OG pair that I bought in 1989.
Okay.
That was my first pair of Jordans. I was in middle school. The white fire. They were white, red, and black.
I know that.
A lot of people might say the Mars Blackman. They had a little Mars head when they came back.
No, I got you.
But I say white fire red. Hopefully they'll release those again with the OG treatment, because that shoe. I'm praying. In hindsight, if they did it the right way, this is the 30-year anniversary for the 4s. So instead of releasing that What the 4 that they had, that I don't know if you know what that What the 4 is. It's like
I'll probably say it more than I know. I think I know though. The 4 I know up until 4, 1 through 4. I know. Then it's foggy. I don't.
The 4 is my favorite silhouette of all time. That's my favorite silhouette. Okay. First Jordan that I had. The white fire red 4s is the shoe that I had. Then I got the white military blues for Christmas. My folks had got me that for Christmas because back then I would want shoes for Christmas. I wouldn't want anything else. Just give me a pair of Jordans or get me some shoes, and I'm good. And if I got those white and blue shoes, if I had a green outfit, I had to wear them white and blue shoes with that green outfit. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? That's right. You know what? That's funny you say that because we were talking, Black. We talked, and that fanship was really huge back then. Like the starter jacket, starter cats, and what match. Right. So I think Jordan's one thing for the culture that probably changed a lot. Once the twos hit, a lot of people gravitated because now you could do that. Or with the George, you could have a Miami Hurricane starter and a hat, and with some George, you were still cool.
Yeah, you was good.
You couldn't do that. They'd be like, oh, that don't match. But with George, you could have a Green Bay jacket and the Jordans, and people be like, oh, he got the Jordans. Yeah. So that did change a lot of that, how cats style. So you're right.
Yeah, so for me, that was like my first pair. Like I said, I fell in love with the threes. I like the silhouette. That was when I really started trying to hustle to get my money up. I think I had a job at 15. I was working at a chicken spot down there. I was burning my hands on chicken grease, trying to get the money to get these.
What's your most regrettable pair that you didn't spend your money on? Your most regrettable, that if you could get back, both of you, tell me what's your most regrettable pair that you like. Come on, I can't believe I dumped this on that.
This was later on. Probably I would say the green bean 5s.
Okay.
I don't know if you know what the green bean 5s is. It's it was probably the green bean 5s because if you looked at that shoe would crease up, and it was like the 3M was like it was ruined from then on. It was like, nah. I'm good. I think I had that shoe for like 5 minutes, and I let it go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
what about you? British Knights? Because he talked about British Knights. Better be the British Knights.
Hey, don't be talking about no Brit. Hey, that's his shoe, man. Them
no, that's my man. But he asked me that. I said, see, that's a British Knights, man. Listen. No. Respectfully, no.
Oh man.
Tell me
I'm gonna say this, man. Like my era for this sneakers period, bro, was like 87. 88. That's when I started having a love passion for it. So that's when a lot of the Nikes was actually gaining that power over Adidas.
Sure.
Converse was still hanging around with the weapons, and then they started bringing out ERX 300s, ERX 200s, 260s, stuff like that.
What's my man who? Not to cut you off, the cat who restructs them, Mr. Sticky Fingers. Do you watch where he?
Yeah.
You know what? I just had a moment of clarity where I just figured out. I was looking the other day because I used to think like this dude used to steal. His tag name is Sticky Fingers. I think it's for the glue because he puts the shoes together, so that's a reference to the glue. But this whole time I was thinking this dude he got great shoes, but he
changed his name, right?
Right, he used to be Mr. Angry
Sneakerhead, then Happy Sneakerhead.
Right, but shout out to him, man, because monsters when he brings them back.
Yeah, and he's a cool cat. I chopped it up with him in the DMs, man. He seemed like a pretty cool cat.
Yeah,
he'll chop it up with you, man.
You said that, I thought of that. So go ahead, tell me. I want to hear about the BKs, man. That better be your most more easy on that. Like, well, when I started in '88, man, they were still BKs in '88, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
I'm waiting.
But as far as like, what shoe like made me just really pay attention to sneakers. Right. I was in the 6th grade. Was it? No, was it 6th grade? No, it was 8th grade. I was in the 8th grade, and the 3s came out. This is when the whole point of Jordan Nike taking all their badging off. They putting a Jumpman on it. It's like, how do they do this? What made them do this? It's like they're going against the grain. And back then, going against the grain was like, you don't supposed to do that, but it was an attention grabber. That was one thing that they was trying to do, especially when they putting all their chips on Mike. Right. They trying to grab the attention.
Right.
So that started me, and then like I showed you yesterday, man, I showed him a lot of my drawings from back in the day, like when I was designing shoes, and I'm sending them to these different companies throughout, that was around the hot companies. I even made up my own shoes, you know what I'm saying? I showed them all the stuff that I had, man. It's like,
right, yeah.
My mom said, bro, she said, you better go to school with all this drawing you doing.
Right.
That's what made me go to school because, like I was telling you, I get letters from all these companies telling me, hey, you got a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, that was fascinating.
Your designs are great. Yeah. Hey, we need you to go to school, though. We can't do nothing for you.
Right.
So I just, started getting more and more heavy into sneakers. I go call Reebok for like brochures. I call Converse, Brooks, Saucony, Nike, Asics, New Balance. I call all these.
I call them Saucony, so I'm wrong. They're Saucony.
That's what I grew up on. Saucony.
It's either or. Tomato.
I think I have it wrong. So you're
tomato,
right.
Tomato, Saucony.
We had at least wrong. So hey, man, you know what it is.
Right. I think I'm dead wrong on that. So all right.
I call them Saucony. That's what I grew up on, man.
And that's probably right. You're probably right.
But actually, it started out Spot Built, which I know you got a few pair of Spot Built.
Yeah, you're right. The high corporation, so they had them.
Right. See, I got the snakeskin Sonics. That's what I got.
I love them Jones, man. So,
and as far as like just when the turn of 1990 came, it's like I was just so heavy into like basketball sneakers. Like you was heavy into tennis shoes.
I didn't get those Dominiques. Go ahead. I'm listening.
It was like everything that just all these brands had.
Dominique.
Are those the highlighters?
These are Sky. This is the Sky team right here.
Okay.
86.
Hold on.
Brooks really dropped the ball with Dominique.
Man, yes, they did, bro.
Yeah, they dropped the ball. I got highlighters in the lows, but these were the Sky team. Look, you can still get the poster. It's only $3. $3 for the poster. So yeah.
I want to see if you remember this sneaker here. The first shoe that I bought with my money.
I Spot Bill's downstairs. My apologies. Wait, with your money, go ahead. Tell me.
Which I paid for with my money. It was 1991 going into 92. It was called the Converse Accelerator. It was a high top sneaker.
Yeah.
I had them in the black and gray colorway.
Okay, all right.
Cats didn't know what I had.
I remember
they ragging on me. You know what I'm saying? Like you said with the alias, they ragging on me. So that next year, I came back with the Converse Aeroglides. I had the white and teal colorway. My cousin, he had not the white, but the black and teal colorway. That white one was a hard one to get.
Was that because of LJ and Charlotte? Those colorways? Was that?
Yeah.
LJ and Charlotte, right? Okay. All right.
Facts. I wore that shoe to school, man. Like I said, it had a shroud on it. Back then, we wore our pants baggy, so everything that we wore over the sneaker. So the only thing you see is pretty much, from mid-foot on down to the toe. So they wondering what the hell I got on. They saw the shroud. You know what I mean? It's like, this dude got skateboard shoes on, bro. What the hell he doing skateboard shoes on? It's predominantly basketball school. We don't do skateboarding around here, especially black folk.
Right, yeah.
I got ragged for about 2-3 days, man. And like that following day, I came in and I purposely pulled my pant leg up. And they saw that big con on the tongue. and then they saw the big con and they saw the 2, and they was a wrap after that.
Larry Johnson, Grandma. We talked too. We about how Fila did the 4-point play and he had on Converse for that 4-point play.
Yeah, he had Converse on.
Yeah, and I think I have. Wait, let me go another. I got something to grab real quick.
Okay, go ahead, man. Go ahead. Do your thing. Shout out to the 14 in the chat, man. I appreciate y'all for sticking around, man. This is a special guest we got going on. This guy, to me, man, is epitome of a sneaker historian. I might get called that label, and I appreciate the people that call me that. But this guy here, to me, is a OG sneaker aficionado, if you want to call him that. Because it's like he's not a collector because he wears them. He got those Spot Built. Express in his hand.
This guy right here, man. Yeah,
man. You know what? I passed on that shoe, bro. I passed on that shoe.
But look, remember,
see what I'm saying? That shoe look brand new, man. You see the bottom of that shoe, man. Hold the bottom of that shoe.
His own with this.
That's Xavier McDaniel, right?
Yeah, because remember 91, 92, everybody was doing the X. Malcolm X, Spike Lee, Malcolm X.
Right.
I brought his
the air raids.
That's got like that F100 feel feel too.
Yeah, this is nostalgia. I wouldn't wear those. That was nostalgia. But here's the the lottery Jones where you just
you change the color on them.
Yeah, a lot of logos, which I probably wouldn't wear, but I still anything Delta Force, man, I love. Any style Delta Force is just my thing.
Is that the 86 or the 87?
86.
Man, look at the shape on that, bro. Look at the shape on it.
I mean, and that's why I always wonder why, again, in the technology age, why can't you get back to shape at least? Like the shape is always kind of in shape. Even the Air Force, these Jones right here, man, it's fire. These Dino Megan, Italian, he was like the Italian, equivalent of what you would probably say, really the Italian hero for the Italian basketball team, basketball league. These are, I love these, 86, 87.
That looks like a luxury sneaker before the luxury sneaker.
The leather is incredible, man. I like a lot of shoes. Sometimes I'm always drawn to signatures. I don't know why. The shoe has a signature, like that has his signature on it. I can't, the lighting is kind of off.
Yeah, you hold it up to the camera a little bit closer.
Yeah.
There you go, right there.
So I like anything with signature base, but the leather, you can tell it. And that's why I always say when people say premium, man, I can feel this is leather, but they weren't made in Italy. This isn't Italian leather. It's Italian shoe. They were made in Taiwan.
Korea, Taiwan, man.
They imported the leather there, man.
Yeah, and that's my thing right there. Let me point out. I see Dallas Penn. Let me tell you guys, when you talk culture, man, the cat had a blog. We used to blog long back in the day. I've never met him personally, but we had blogs. And so I was just breaking into teaching. And his blog was it for everyone. Like when he put on something new, he would always talk about records, sometimes sneakers, just a lot of stuff, man. He's a prolific writer. He's one of the few cats that, and he didn't pay me for any of this, but he's one of the few cats, man. I teach a writing class. He's one of the cats that I introduced into my writing class because he's really prolific. He can sometimes push buttons if he chooses to. He does the internet's thing, but as a writer, man, he's pretty amazing to me. And I always tell him that. So I like to tell cats that, man. He's one of the cats. I remember back in the day, we would email each other and say, he's got a new blog post. And I think his blog might have been just Dallas Penn. But he's pretty amazing, man. So he's one of the cats I dig. So I'm happy to see him there. I'm sorry for the.
I think we met him in Atlanta or DC SneakerCon. I can't remember which one it was. I seen him in New York.
Let me grab a couple more. In that room, I have a couple more. I'll be right back.
Grab what you want, bro.
I think we met Dallas Penn in. I know I seen him in New York SneakerCon. I think it was December 7th, 2017. I want to say it was either Atlanta or DC. I want to say Atlanta of 2018. He was either that or DC this year. And we kind of like sat there and kind of like chopped it up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So he's a cool dude, man. And I love when he say internets. I love when he say that though.
We definitely appreciate him coming through, man. Yeah, appreciate everybody coming through, man, and chopping it up with us, man.
Oh yeah. Like I said, man, we got a dude here, man. That's man. All I can say is, I'm not worthy. That's all I can say, bro.
We're not worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to know people still have passion for like real sneakers, not like the hype stuff, but just real sneakers. And when it comes to the quality, they know quality. You know what I'm saying? People think that they know quality when they say shattered backboard. But
shattered backboard quality.
Backboard, there's nothing on what this guy's got right here, bro. So got the Matumbos.
Oh, he got the Matumbos.
This is the OG Jones. And I always think for me, Matumbo is probably the best in terms when you talk about a signature shoe. I think Adidas captured everything about them, right? There's a lot of signature shoes, but I mean the way the detail and what they put into this shoe, pretty amazing. I love the Matumbos. They don't have the right feel on the foot, but I like them. But here's where everybody.
I had the white and red ones back in high school, bro. I had those.
I had like every color, man. One of my favorites. I love that shoe. And this is my Nick fanship. The altitude.
I think Black Bot fainted when you pulled that out right there, bro.
I got chill bumps.
I think he fainted.
That's the altitude, right?
Right, yeah. Which again, Knicks, man. I'm a Knicks homer fan, so I love everything New York Knicks, but they suck.
Yeah.
That Matumbo that you got, I had the original colorway, which was that black, white, red, and yellow.
Right.
I had that one back in '93, and to me, that was one of the most culturally driven shoes that you can actually purchase, bro. Because, like you said, it spoke every essence of his whole culture.
It's him, right?
You know what I mean? And it's like it took you back to the motherland. You know,
it really did. It really did. You can tell he had input. Like sometime I look at signature shoes and was like, maybe somebody signed off on that. I don't know if they had input. You can tell Mutombo was brought into that whole project. That project looks a lot like him. You know.
Quick story, man. Quick story. My wife, when she was traveling for her company, in Marietta, they got a building over in Marietta where he actually has his his foundation. Her building or her shop was right next to his foundation, and she got them. Say it again. It's called Platinum Powers.
Hellsman, but
she met him and she was like, "Oh, you tall. Your hands is big." But yeah, she said he was like one of the nicest dudes, you know, as far as just, you know, she couldn't really understand what he was saying, but she's saying he was just one of the nicest dudes in the building. You know, I hate I didn't get to meet him, but she met him personally, man. And I thought that was
what I like the Mavericks. I like the Mavericks. I know the price point bothered people, and I'll say sometime, and I don't know how people feel about anybody with that. At 53, I don't have beef with any sneaker. That's beyond anything I would do. But I think Mike Packer gets awfully close when he duplicates something. I think he gets awfully close to what the feel was. Of course, Mavericks, that's a higher price point, but I like them. Some people say size up, size down. Mine kind of fit. And, you know, I've worn them twice, but I think he gets very close to what that was, you know. But, you take the rivalry we talked about earlier, the Adidas one, that's as close as it gets, and it's just sitting. It's shelved. Cat's not even getting that. You can get it for $50.
I seen him on the Adidas website last night. I seen a couple on for like 50.
That's been out there, so I can't. That's kind of sitting. But again, I just think that now culture is so merged with consumerism, it's kind of impossible to separate. So when something is done for the culture, what's really done for the culture? But I like the Mavericks. Dallas said pull out. No, you're talking about the felines. You know what though? I'm gonna be honest with you, Dal. I like those. The helmsman I liked. I didn't get the feel of the Prada, so I don't have either. But I wouldn't know the difference. But I know. Luckily, I was Googling and I seen cats flaming that one because I was going to get a pair. But I said, nah, if people feel that kind of way, even at 57, I'm still kind of influenced on footwear. If you feel a certain way, I don't know if I want them on my feet. Those, because you think I'm fake.
I remember them felines, man. They was going crazy over them felines, bro.
I honestly didn't think they were bad, but I can understand that, they're not Prada, but
yeah. That's like putting the Bentley grill on a Chrysler 300.
Right. Without they brought the Gucci's back and they brought the Bally competition. And that one, let me tell you, those cats, that's how I said IG is the gift and the curse. Because they watch, and they watch. Because Dallas, myself, Clark, we've talked about that shoe countless times. So when it came back, it was no surprise. Came back at 500. This is a bullshit shoe. But people up for the culture? No. The Bally was $69.99. Make it that, and I'll get it all day for the culture. Don't charge me something $600 and think I'm helping the culture. How? Give me quality, though. I'll spend the money. Because we were spending money, 100, 120, 150. I think the Gucci were 125 for the low, 175 for the high in 1984, 85. I would spend that if the quality is good. Yeah, the Bally Retros, they've continued to botch. And the Brooks Heritage Group, I think, are the worst. They're the Baker Mayfields of retro. They're the Baker Mayfields. Brooks Heritage is the absolute worst, man. They destroyed
the whole line, bro.
Man, that's my thing about retro, man. Don't bring it back at the expense of destroying what was once there. Don't just do something new. But that's how designers are no longer in the business. No innovation is not in the business. They don't have design. They're out there. They got like the Pensole Academy. Chris,
Mhm.
there's cats out there who can create. My man sold on canvas, who can create whole shoes, bro. But they
Right.
keep trying to reformulate something and say, "Oh, this is a collab. Here's the drink champ Ewans." No.
We say that shit ain't working, huh?
Right. It's the Omega Ewan. It's like, come on, man. Nobody, no. Just no. You know what I'm saying? I know. Look, Pat, you don't even see Pat face no more. Like the first time they brought him out, he was smiling. Now Pat probably just like, nah, just no more.
Steve, from what I'm hearing about what happened with that is that, he coaches for Georgetown.
That's right.
And Georgetown is a Jordan-based
Oh, right,
school.
right. Good.
So he can't wear his Ewans because he'll be, I guess, at a breach of contract.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I think he's kind of like
conflict of interest.
Yes, he put himself away from it. If you go back and listen to the first episode, I think it was on my personal channel, Black Ass African, you'll see what he was actually explaining. Throwback King, shout out Throwback King. I think I saw him.
You know what? Again, let me say that. I'm sorry. Did I even miss that? Because even for the days of anything, though the Shoe Kings, let me say that the Shoe Kings, because I missed that. Them cats been there forever. So I don't know if they're here, but I want to make sure that's noted. Like I talked about Barbados, you see this book over here. But I want to say, man, them dudes since 1982. I've never met them. And so this isn't anything other than a shout out personally, because I think they may not be talked about as much in this new technology age, but they were there like newspapers had stories. Right. So even when I got an interest in shoes, I would read articles about those guys. And so Shoe Kings, 1982, I should say that, man. Those are cats, man. And not just them, but you guys, everybody inspires me, man. That's what I love. That's the culture part of it, that I get to look and see things and listen to cats, man. But the consumerism part kind of has ruined a lot of things. To Dallas' points, yeah, they don't bring anybody in. Cats know. You could bring somebody in who knows, but they don't want to do that, or they don't want to pay for that. They just want to give for free.
That's the key word.
For free, like
that's the key word. They don't want to pay for it. They just want you to
get it. It's going to fail. It's going to absolutely fail, because you cats, you said 40. If you're over 40, young people don't influence you. Chris Brown, who's a great artist, can spin, dance. I don't care what he's wearing. I don't want to wear that shit. I'm not going to wear anything Chris Brown wear. He wouldn't influence me to do what? I'm a grown old man. So it's not an influence for me. So, but you could find a community base, organic community base who still support and wear that. But what brands do, they don't acknowledge that. They don't acknowledge the cats.
Okay, so, I got a question.
Sure.
What is it that you can show us right now that cats haven't seen?
I can show one, but I wouldn't, because there's one, like, as these cats get closer, the corduroy shoemakers and those who lurk and follow. If I showed you the people who followed me, they never comment on anything, but the influencers always lurk, and I always see the shoes come. So I got one pair. This is my holy grail, but I'm like, I don't want to show that. But wait, let me see if I got something else.
Yeah, you'll have to show us that one behind the scenes then.
All right. Because that one, they're going to try to lurk me.
Shout out to Throwback King in the building. Appreciate it. You got 16 in the chat, man. I appreciate y'all for pulling up. Listening to the professor. Not the professor of sneakers, but Professor. Khallivegas. Let's make that clear, man. Let's make that clear. Like I said, man, every time I see him post something, man, there's always just something I never seen anybody else rock.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like
his IG page is totally different than something that you would see, man.
We like different things, man. You know what I mean? And for him to come on our platform and to share that, man, I know I speak for the both of us, man. I appreciate that he came on our platform and just spitting gems to everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's like
if he follows you, he follows you, man. He always shows love, man. He's always showing love, bro. So we really appreciate him coming on and sharing his knowledge with us, man. It's new. It's new. It's old school, but it's new. You know what I mean? It's a history lesson right here, man. It's a history lesson.
And the thing I like about it too, he doesn't follow the norm. And I'm that kind of cat that I love different lanes. I don't like you to go with everybody else. I don't like being looking like the same person, rocking this that just came out yesterday. I want to see something that I ain't seen in years.
Yeah.
That's
and the thing that I like about him, man, is that he ain't got the big head, bro.
No,
he ain't got the
not
big
at
head,
all.
bro. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that I really appreciate, man. He's sharing knowledge, he's sharing information. If you're willing to listen and you willing to learn, hey man, he's willing to talk to you.
Hey, you said class was in session, right?
Fact. What you got for us, bro? What you got for us?
And some of these have been seen, but I think they're important, so I want to point them out, like the Shaq, because I think that's important when you look at Warner Brothers. They were making sneakers. They got the Glen Rice, but I think the Shaq is important because, hey, Shaq was getting a lot of money. I like Shaq as a rapper, too, for some reason. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I thought he could flow, man.
Okay, since you said that, hold on one second. Is Shaq one of the best NBA rappers?
I think so. If you count NBA cats, I got to say.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
Because I think with Shaq, here's two things I know. He didn't use profanity. And I always try to gauge cats on who they rock with. On that joint with Biggie, he held his own with no profanity. Yeah. He was the Rico character, but he held his own. And the fact of the matter, if Shaq said it, I believe it. If Shaq said I got a boat, I believe it better than some of the dusty rappers.
Yeah.
I got a boat, do you? Where's your boat? But so I can believe that. So I thought he was good for the lane he stayed. He rapped with Mobb Deep. That one was tight with the Mobb Deep one.
Yeah. Fushnikins. Don't forget Fushnikins.
Fushnikins. He did one with Peter Guns. That was tight. I thought Shaq was nice, man. I thought he was nice for what he was doing.
Since you're going back on the no cursing thing, since you're going back on that, I'll say one of my favorite rappers that didn't curse is CL Smooth.
CL Smooth is nice too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was nice. Yeah,
absolutely. CL Smooth is nice. It's a lot. I mean, sneakers and music are probably the things that I probably spend the most time in.
Yeah. But they go hand in hand, though, right? They go hand in hand.
They do. Because that's probably the culture part of it, where the music kind of spread out. Like Lecoq Sportive, their visual came because Will Smith was rocking it. But I remember it from Yannick Noah. Noah in 82 when he was winning 3. I remember that. A lot of cats got it later because Will Smith and, Jazzy Jeff, Fresh Prince Jazzy Jeff. So, which is cool. I think that's a cool part too. It kind of.
Remember, I was telling you yesterday about me just, sending designs to them, and I actually got a pair of free sneakers from them.
That's right. But this one is Theodore, and this is what I said. I like when companies used to branch off. Like, I don't know why. This is Theodore, but it's an intruder. So, but just the detail and some of the shoe. Let me go that way.
What year?
This is, I think, 80. I want to say 87, 88.
Okay.
But even when you look, I mean, they're just solid built. Like, I just thought more detail went into craftsmanship. But again, these were made. This one is made in. Let me see. It's going to be probably Taiwan or Korea. Right. Korea. Taiwan. So Taiwan is where they made. Now this one is my favorite. You might have seen it, but I love this show. This is Wilson.
Oh, the Wilson high top.
The hang time is amazing. But basketball, I mean, it was such a competitive market space that companies really rolled out their best. They absolutely had to roll out their best. So
Spot Build had a hang time too.
Spot Build did, yeah. Spot Build had a couple good shoes. I mean, a good run, obviously, outside of McDaniels. I just think that they thought it easier to keep Saucony versus, in terms of words, they were kind of split. Hyde Corporation, they wanted one to be that, so they went with that. So they discontinued the Spot Build, and probably didn't heard that OJ was tied in the Spot Build and after all that.
Yes, he was. 1978, wasn't it?
Yeah, OJ was like their first. He was wearing the basketball shoes when he was killing cats out there. OJ wasn't wearing cleats a lot of times. He was wearing their basketball shoes. Like, I remember that. What's so funny to me, even though I'm a Giants fan, but growing up, I was an OJ Simpson fan. Like, if you look back at young pictures of me, I got number 32 on. That's probably not a good look now in history then, but I always have his jerseys on. I was the biggest fan. Like I watched when against the Jets, he needed 100 and some yards. He got 200 yards on the catch, man. When you knew he was gonna get the ball, like Joe Ferguson was the quarterback, OJ was getting the ball. That was the play. They had 12 in the box, not 11. They brought 12 in the box. My man still got loose, but they try to erase a lot of that, and I get that, but OJ was something else, man. From a marketing standpoint, he was one of the first. Again, I was in DC, but his jerseys were hanging along with who was the cat for the Redskins? Larry Brown, Charlie Taylor. But you would see OJ jerseys anywhere you traveled. That's how big he was, man.
When wasn't he signed with Spot Built like in 78, 79, somewhere up in there?
Before then, because when he broke that record maybe 76, so he was back a long time before then with them.
Okay,
that was probably one of the first.
I actually saw a brochure. I was actually thinking about getting it, and it actually showed. I forgot what year it said it, but I actually was going to get it, and it showed his signature sneaker on there.
Wow, yeah, he was pretty amazing. But now again, probably forgotten in a lot of cases just because of that. I don't know if he was guilty or not guilty, but you can't erase the cat with something else.
You can't erase that history, sports history.
Yeah, you can't. So. I don't know, man. I guess I appreciate you guys, man, as I wrap up a little bit.
You got anything else you want to ask him about?
I want to ask him. I know you was talking about your book earlier. Somebody in the chat had asked a question about your book. Can you elaborate on what the book is going to be about a little bit?
What I can tell you, I should be finishing. It's No Country for Old Sneakers, but it's really a look at just how that culture and marketplace has changed, and it's driven by what the old was, and it should be finished, man. I've gotten behind because again, academia takes up so much of my life, like
right.
I love, but the reality to pay mortgages and shit, I have to focus on academics. But
perfection takes time, man, and people want the quality, not the quantity.
It's so much because for me, there have been a couple like Bobito's. Mine was kind of a play off. His was where'd you get those? And I was kind of writing for why'd you get those? Like I enlisted people to kind of intrigues me just as much as where'd you get them? Why? Like what triggered us? But I think the one great thing is I found that sneakers connect the world. Because when I went over to do the thing with LS in London this summer, I got to meet Kiss Cash, who's probably like he's the culture dude there in London. Like he's the culture there. Kiss Cash one, I think he goes under. And then I got to meet Julie, who was Sneaker Queen. She's from Berlin. But when we sat down, we all talked about the Tanker, this shoe that I showed. We talked about this. Every story different, but all connected to the shoe. They talked about how they came up and why they brought that. And I think that's what I love most about shoes. It just connects the world. It's our first connection. Yeah. Like I've been to countries and places where I'm gonna go to the shoe store. If I can find a shoe store, if I don't speak your language, I can. My first stop usually besides something good to eat, where other people say, "Hey, what tourist attraction? What a shoe store? Show me the shoe store. I can get in and get something that nobody has." So
I'm gonna say this real quick. My guy Cadillac Jackson that was in the chat. He's a New York guy, man. That's our brother. And when we go on sneaker hunts, bro. That joker, man, he's a cartographer, bro. He can map out. He'll go and find every shoe store or every consignment shop in the city, and we will literally go around and try. We call it the Great Sneaker Hunt. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So we'll go around and find stuff like that, man. And
I love it because even for me, that there's a spot. Shout out to Feedy Ernie. He owns Suplex, so that's my man. So for years he's had this spot he calls it the Portal, Mystical Portal, like where he would take pictures. Man, it would be shoes in shrinkage wrap, New Balance from years. Every pair was from years ago. And he said, "Oh, it's a mom and pop," but he wasn't, and I couldn't blame him because that's the game. You don't really give people coordinates. He wouldn't get. I said, "Oh, where that's at?" He like, "I'll buy you something from there." So just how the world connects. I'm on IG, and this young cat reaches out to me. "What's under your nose?" I think that's why I remember his tag. It's "What's under your nose." He's a young dude. And he was like, yo, I live in Philly. He was like, oh, I know where that store is. It's in my neighborhood, but it's a rough neighborhood. If you want to come, yeah. So
Exactly.
he knew the spot, and I just thought, wow, the world connects, man. That was so funny. He reached out because first I was like, nah, you don't. He was like, I know exactly where it's at, and he told me, he said, the neighborhood is so bad, people don't come. That's why they have all that old inventory. He was like, people scared to come to the spot, and I said, well, if it's sneakers, I'm coming.
That's that spot in Philly you talking about, right?
Right.
Yeah. Because if you can see my brother Cadillac in the chat, that's what we was talking about. Because we saw that post, and man, we saw that old school stuff
From
in there,
TSC,
man.
Yeah.
Man.
So I was actually thinking about taking a trip up there, man, and just visit that store, man.
Hey, look, we need to talk. I know I got the coordinates. That's for sure.
Okay, then.
You got the latitude, longitude. Okay. Okay.
I would certainly be up for that, man. I like nothing more than to try to find. That's why, especially anywhere I travel, I always try to find something off the beaten path because, that's why we did. That's what kind of brought us into that. We would try. I walked 30 miles just to get the sneakers.
Yeah.
Sneakers, like, that was the thing. So,
One more quick question. I want to ask. Since you was talking about going to different countries and stuff like that, what I guess you say, what country and city in that country to you had the best sneaker spot that you've been to?
I would say of all time, Italy. This Verona was the city, and Verona would have like hidden shops. These would be like ski shops, but they would have runners, incredible trainers. I would say there. I would say now. I want to get to Japan, but there's some spots in Germany. Dusseldorf is like the main city in terms of their fashion, so they have a couple spots there. Like I couldn't tell you the name, but there's sneaker stores. And those spots I try to frequent. But anywhere I travel, I'm getting sneakers. I'm gonna get a pair of something.
Yeah.
But if I can get
like you said Japan, I want to go. If I ever go to Japan, there's two spots I want to go to.
Yeah.
One is called Worm Tokyo.
Okay.
And the other one is called Skit.
Yeah, it's because there's one dude he's on my timeline. I followed him for years. He will not ship a shoe even if I pay him extra. His shop is just a portal. Dude takes pictures, man. Everything he got, he's always like, "Oh, I got your size. Well, ship it." He's like, "Nah, I don't ship. Come." Yeah, sure. Just hop in my private jet and go to Japan. I'm like, "Come on, man," but he won't. He will not ship. He's a friendly enough guy, but for whatever reason, he was like, "Nah, I don't do that." But come. And I mean, when I'm telling you, he got Nike Dunks, OGs, everything hangs in it. Next time I get on the timeline, I'm gonna send you the picture. I think it's amazing, but he's like, "Nah, you can come. I'd like to meet you, man. Just send me the shoes, then I'll come."
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit like that in Australia, like that, man. I was looking for some.
There's a cat, man. If you don't follow, man, shout out. I think it's Haas Flair. He now has a podcast, Haas Flair, and he's like, man, his passion for sneakers is crazy, man. I don't know. He looked like he's just starting out in terms of podcasts. He's an older guy.
Right.
But passion is undeniable, and that's what I like, man. Sometimes, it's not about the numbers somebody brings in initially. What's the passion? And you can tell this cat is a sneaker-driven cat. So I'll give you his thing, because anything in Australia, I know he knows. He has to know, because he loves sneakers like that, man. But it looks like we're up against that time, man. I appreciate you cats, man.
Oh, yeah, man.
Bro, we appreciate you,
I know.
man.
I said I'm going to jump on for an hour. It's 2 hours, man. I love you that much.
Hey, I'm going to tell you like this, bro. You definitely are coming back.
Absolutely.
No doubt about that. You coming back to part 2, man.
With Cadillac, we going to Philly. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mobile from Philly. That's what we going to do, man. Get up there and get to these spots. I got
we
bringing sneaker hunting back, man. We bringing that back.
Man. Hey, man, appreciate you fellas, man. Y'all have a good night, all right?
You too, man. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Hey, if y'all ain't following Khallivegas, man, check him out on IG, man. Bro, like I said, we appreciate you, bro. You know what I mean? For your first podcast. Thank you for coming on our platform, man. And like I said, you are more than welcome back anytime, bro.
I'll do that for sure, man.
All right. We would love to have you back, bro.
Yeah, peace, fellas. All right.
Peace, man. Mr. Khallivegas has left the building. We appreciate him for coming on, man. Just spitting vintage knowledge, man, from the late 70s to on to now. And I think, you know what I mean, with him is one of the reasons why we wanted this podcast to jump off, because of the forgotten years of sneakers. Everybody thinks about the now, but you got to think about it. You have to start somewhere to get to the now. And I'd rather go back to that time where I gained that passion to get to now. And I'm still in the past. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what I love. So I appreciate him for coming on, man. I appreciate all the people in the chat. We still got 17 in the chat, man. We appreciate y'all for rocking with us on this Sunday night. It's 9 o'clock here Central Time. So if you Eastern, it's 10 o'clock, and if you're Western, that's what about 7 o'clock, something like that. So
something like that.
Yeah. You know what? I was gonna actually go back there and get my spot builts, my snakeskin joints. I was gonna go back there and get them, man, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna just wait out, man. I'm gonna wait it out though. But man, I appreciate him coming on, man. Like I said, I appreciate everybody for rocking with us.
Shout out to everybody rocking with us, man.
If you enjoyed this podcast, this episode, man, go ahead and hit that like button for us, man. That takes us a long way. Go ahead and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. That keeps you up to date on whenever we drop something next. So this is probably our last episode. It's a holiday episode. We never even said anything about the holidays. We hope everybody have a blessed and prosperous Christmas and New Year's. If we don't get back on before New Year's, but we'll probably be the last episode of this podcast of the year 2019. So in 2020, man, we'll be, coming back, better format. We're gonna work some things out, and hey, man, we just appreciate everybody for pulling up. Appreciate you, Papo Riviere. I lost my man, but anyway, like I said, I am Black Ass African. You can follow me on IG and YouTube and Retro Talk Forum under the name Black Ass African. There he is.
My bad. Appreciate y'all rocking with us, man. It's your boy Hot Dog 18. Follow me on IG. Follow us on Retro Talk Forum, man. Thank you for everybody come through, man. Everybody that has followed us in the last few days, we really appreciate it. Shout out to Khallivegas. Thank you, brother, for coming on. We really do appreciate you and everything that you showed and all the knowledge that you dropped tonight, man. You are truly a gem in this community, man. I'm not gonna say the word culture. Go ahead, bro. What you saying?
I was just gonna say I think it's to the point where you need people like him to better explain the passion to the younger generation.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I think he's one of those guys that actually does it, and he does it well. He's got a well-spoken vocabulary. You see, he's knowledgeable, and he's an actual professor.
He's an actual professor, yeah.
He's not throwing that name out, just to gain likes. He don't do all that for that. He does it for the passion.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that me and Hop Dog came to this platform to do, was to bring passion, which is mine and his and everybody else's that joins with us. And I love that about just anybody that's really genuine about it. And when we chopped it up with him, I chopped it up with him yesterday. It was like everything was just genuine. It wasn't nothing fabricated. It wasn't nothing artificial. Everything was genuine. And to have somebody like that on the platform, that's a truly blessing. Like I said, this probably won't be his last time on this platform.
Oh no, he's definitely coming back. No doubt about that.
He's definitely coming back for another volume. We don't do episodes, man. We do volumes, man. It's like, like cassette tapes. You know what I'm saying? We take back to cassette tapes.
Yeah.
But, we appreciate everybody for pulling up, man. Like I said, go like the like button. Go hit the like button. Subscribe if you like what we're doing. Throw a comment down in the comment section. Tell us how we did. Tell us some of the guests you want to see in the near future, and we'll hit them up and see what's up.
If it's something that you don't like, let us know also, man. We always got room for improvement, man. We always got room for improvement. So
that means people are paying attention to us.
Yeah, let us know Let us know what we doing. If we doing it good, if we doing it right, let us know. If we doing it wrong, hey, throw your comments down there. But thank you once again for everybody chopping it up with us, hanging out with us tonight. Man, I'm like on cloud nine, man. You know, he was just dropping knowledge, bro. He was just dropping knowledge, man. So,
but that's what you want. You know what I mean? That's what you want from genuine people that has a genuine love for sneakers. It's not all about the dollars. It's not all about who has the hypest shoe on. None of them shoes he got in his collection. I'm pretty sure. I know Dallas Penn probably got it. I don't know about the other guys that's in the chat that he brought with him, but just think about it. You know, I don't have
the quality. The quality just looked amazing on him, man. You know,
second to none.
Look at
That's
the
why
level.
Look at the level.
Yeah, yeah.
I need
exactly.
a t-shirt. Beard,
Yeah,
I need a
exactly.
t-shirt. Look at the level.
Yes, sir. But yes, sir. Thank y'all once again, man, for rocking with us, man. Like I said, if you don't follow Khallivegas, man, follow him on IG. You will definitely get something different from the norm. And down to earth, brother. He ain't afraid to chop it up with you. You got a question for him, I'm pretty sure he'll answer it for you. So, you know, if you're real about your business, he's definitely going to be real with you. So just holler at him, give him a follow. And once again, thank y'all.
With that being said, I'm Black Ass African.
Hop Dog
Peace.
18. Hop Dog 18.
And we out of here.